You are not doing enough as of right now. There is more you can be doing. And that is something that has to be on the forefront of your mind at all times. Obviously, there's a balance you have to find between motivating yourself and being a detriment to yourself. But honestly, I think the difference is that some people are stupid and some people are just more aware. And so, not to be super harsh about it, even though I just did say something super blunt. What I mean by that is that there's people that will beat themselves up and people that will do things to harm themselves while they're giving their best effort. And it's literally it to me it's the dumbest thing ever. It's kind of stupid. Not saying that I've never done that before, but I realize my mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes you can do is to slow yourself down in your own progress. And so if you think about everything objectively, that's the key. You have to think about things as they are, like as if you were a third party observing your own life. What would you point out to yourself? What would you improve? What would you change? And what would you keep the same? And that's the key to happiness, to success, to progress is to look at yourself honestly through an honest lens. Sometimes we like to lie to ourselves. We have self-deprecating opinions and views about how we're performing, and we tell ourselves to do more with. And it's almost like we have the two sides of us. One is telling us to do more. The other one is telling us that everything we're doing is wrong, or anyway. And so there's a few conflicting voices, it seems like, in the back of your mind, in your headspace. And so one thing I realized, I know not everyone shares the same religious beliefs, but I'm going to share my belief, and that's that God has His influence, and Satan also has his influence, and we also have our own thoughts and opinions. Um, and so the way that I think temptation works is, imagine that you live inside your little house, and this is something in, I guess it's South America and other parts of the world. There's in different cultures there's different ways to approach someone's door. And so here in America, you got a doorbell. Sometimes you can just call the person if you know them, like with your phone, tell them you're at their house. In South America, at least in Argentina where I was at, you get close to someone's house, all you got to do is just clap your hands super loud and then yell their name, and they'll come out. Um, and anyway, so it's like you have to make some noise in order to get attention from the person to get them to come out of their house. I picture temptation the exact same way. How Satan doesn't always attend to us personally. Basically, he has his own army, his own followers. He has devils, little cowards, basically, that will will be lurking around. I couldn't even tell you where, because obviously they're in some sort of invisible space that's invisible to us. But they're able to call out to us, to yell things, to confuse us by just saying, like, giving us an overwhelming amount of input. But the way that God has prepared for us to counteract this is that we also have helpful people, which I believe to be relatives. But there's people in the spirit world that can also communicate with us, or at least calm us down and keep us steady, basically. So at times you might feel like you're receiving different kinds of input, and you're confused as to what is what. So a skill you have to develop is to distinguish where each voice is coming from. And once you can do that is when you'll unlock your potential. And so anyway, you have to realize that the self-deprecating views that you hold, that like the things you beat yourself up about that you have no control over, or the things that you do that hold yourself back, those those viewpoints have been taught to you by someone that does not have your best interest in mind. They've been whispering things to you, telling you the opposite of the truth for as long as you've been alive. As long as you have been old enough and developed enough to make your own decisions, you've been tempted and you've been persuaded to believe things that are not true. So the key then is that we have to all learn how to correct these 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 deficiencies, basically, in our way of life. So that's what I mean when I say that you're not doing enough. That if you're at a point where you want to progress, you want to become better, the only thing is just to do it. Before you can do anything, you obviously need to know what you're doing, and you have to know why you're doing it. But one thing I've learned, if anything, is that your motivations will change as time goes by, and the longer you stick to something, the deeper your motivation will go. So at the surface level, let's look at fitness. Maybe you're just you're doing it because you know other people do it and you want to try it. Maybe you're looking to get bigger or stronger. Maybe you just want to look better. Maybe you have health issues that you want to help or you want to combat, and so you're in the gym trying to fight for your health. There's so many different reasons, right? But one issue I've seen, and this is, again, I'm gonna take a shot at bodybuilding. Nothing. I don't hate the people that do it. I've tried it myself. One thing I've realized though is that bigger muscles does not equate more strength. When it comes to building strength, it's easy to ask this question and to get going. Basically, you say, "Who am I doing this for? Who am I getting stronger for?" And automatically, there should be a long list of people in your mind. Obviously, you're on that list, but your family, people around you, your children, your future family, they're all a big reason as to why you need to be stronger. When you ask the question, who am I getting bigger for? That's when it becomes a little bit of a kind of a murky situation. It's like not as clear. There's a little bit of a disconnect, because you getting bigger does not equate you being able to protect or provide for anyone better than you are right now. If your muscles are bigger, all that does is serve your own self-image, and at that point you've kind of defeated the purpose. Although you can be motivated to do so, and you might find inspiration in being able to influence other people to do the same thing, at some point we're all just doing this for ourselves. And so the only way you can really do this is by focusing on what is this going to do for the people around me. At this point in my mind, it's no question that I have to get stronger, because if I were just to do it for myself, I would just build up any basic level of strength and basically quit, or at least come back every once in a while and build up my strength to a minimal level. But if I understand that this is for my family, this is for everything I love, then this means that I have to be the strongest as I possibly can. But that doesn't mean that I have to do it all at once. The stupid part of me would tell me to be in the gym all day long, killing myself under the barbell. But I know if I can just take a step back and look at things objectively, I know that that's going to kill me. I know that that's going to make me weaker. That's going to hurt me. That's going to slow down my progress, not only in the gym. It's going to slow down my progress in other parts of my life, because I'm going to take my time and attention away from becoming a better person internally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's going to stop me from working, earning money, and doing other things that will help me in my life. So that's why I say it's important to know whose voice you're listening to. One thing that people will either tell you or tell themselves, is that don't be so hard on yourself. And what I would say to that is the most important thing is to push yourself harder than other people want to or are willing to. In the first place, if someone is willing to push you, or if someone's pushing you harder than you're pushing yourself, first of all, maybe that person is focused on the wrong thing. Maybe they should worry about themselves. But you also need to understand that that if someone has bigger goals for you than you have for yourself, then maybe you're misunderstanding something. Maybe you missed the point. What gets difficult and what gives people stress and sometimes becomes a little bit too much to bear is when you prioritize other people's goals for yourself over your own, where everyone has this drive inside of them, this beast, this monster that needs to be unleashed in order to progress and to become better. and your internal drive will tell you exactly what things you need to work on, and you'll be able to create plans and make goals. But what happens is that too often people let other people's hopes and dreams, or at least what they think those people want, they put that in front of what they already have planned for themselves. And now instead of only carrying your own weight of your ambitions and goals, now you're carrying a bunch of extra weight that's not necessary. Because if anyone had the ability to do what they want you to do, why wouldn't they be doing that themselves? Why do they need you to do something for them when they could do it themselves? You just gotta, obviously you don't want to be so selfish, but you need to do you in order to protect the people that you know and love. And if you let someone else that doesn't know you tell you how to do it, then at that point you're sacrificing your own integrity and your own progression and worth. It's all going to be tarnished. So I know I'm just rambling, but hopefully something I said stuck, and hopefully this will make sense to whoever's listening. But anyway, front squats today. I didn't even start out with any intro. I just went right into it, huh? But basically, just wanted to put something heavy on the bar and just do my best today, because the last week I've had COVID. My body has gotten a little bit weaker noticeably, and due to like the sickness, I haven't been eating as much as I should have. All that, I just needed to push myself a little bit today, so I did front squats. After that, I practiced overhead squats, which I haven't done in a few weeks, and I did some bicep curls. Because I know I'm talking about bodybuilding and stuff. I think the only purpose of so bodybuilding is based off of hypertrophy training. Hypertrophy is where you push your individual muscles and like the fibers of those muscles to a point of extremity where a lot of blood and other fluids, glycogen and glucose, I think, are all the things that your muscles use for energy. Anyway, that stuff is like rushed and pushed into the blood, and you basically turn into like a water balloon, and your muscles start to expand. And that's what happens when you get a pump. But a helpful thing about hypertrophy training is that it teaches you how to connect with your muscles on an individual basis. So every once in a while, I'll do bicep curls, because I just need to know that I'm still connected to that part of my body. Because as of now, my only focus is building up my lower body, my back and leg strength. But I'd never want to neglect any part of my body for too long. And so every month I make sure I do some upper body stuff. And then I'm also like maintaining my mobility. That's why I do the overhead squat and bicep curls, just to basically to feel that muscle, that make sure it's still there. Because even though you're not training your upper body while you're doing squats, all those upper body muscles are important for stability. So it's just important to keep your whole organism well oiled and prepared. So anyway, it was the form was a lot better today. I remember, like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago ish that I did this last. I think I could have gone heavier today, but this is literally just for practice reps, not to go heavy. So if I've learned anything, is that keep your toes a little bit pointed out. When you go down, push your head forward and pinch your shoulder blades back, and that should be it, and you should be able to hold the weight up. The funny thing though is that if I had a heavier weight on the bar, I'm pretty sure I would just drop it. I don't think I have the strength to hold that weight over my head like that. I think my shoulders are pretty weak. Anyway, so I'm trying to think now if that's all that I had to talk about. I just think people are not motivated enough these days, and if they are motivated, they're motivated to do the wrong things. So the key to making a difference in your life or in someone else's life and making changes is to acquire new knowledge. And that's something I want to keep repeating over and over and over again until people get it. Basically, if you do things the way you've always done it, the thing you're trying to accomplish will never change. It'll never bring results. Only when you have new knowledge will you be able to act in a different way that will produce more results. So how do you obtain new knowledge? The thing is that you have to become obsessed. You have to become a little bit, not like unhinged, but you have to be maniacal about how you go about your your work ethic. And I know a lot of people, um, I don't know, a lot of people feel as if they could give more, as if they could do more, but they don't know what to do. We're all stuck in this basically easy mode of being normal. We've let people convince us that there's such thing as normal, and normal to me doesn't exist. Theoretically, the idea of being normal is that you take the sum total of every single person in society, you add up everything about them, about each person, and then divide it to find the average. Like, out of everyone in society, who is in the very middle of everybody? Who's the one not doing anything? And that's what you would consider to be normal, is in the middle of everything. But one thing that I don't think is accounted for is that every single person is unique. Every single person has a purpose and has drive and ambition to do something specific. Not everyone wants not everyone wants to do the same thing in life. And so what happens too often is that we like to fall into crowds with each other, like almost like sheep. If you read the Bible, Jesus always calls us his sheep, and he's our shepherd. Sheep are really dumb, and they like to follow each other, and if one sheep is leading the herd and decides to jump off a cliff, then other sheep will follow. And what has to happen is that we each have to get our own sense of worth, I guess, and also our own sense of direction. When you only want to be normal, you'll never accomplish anything. And the people that are normal are the people that will suffer the most in life. The people that are exceptional are the ones that, like I said, are somewhat maniacal, somewhat obsessed with pursuing whatever they want to do. So don't let other people, or at least your percent. No one is telling you. Basically, that's the thing. You have to realize no one is telling you not to do it. What you're supposed to do. No one is actually telling you to not pursue your dreams. It's just something in your head that you have to get over. It's that uh, I'm gonna use this word. Hopefully, it goes over well. You have a little bitch boy inside of you, and that little boy or girl, if you're listening, if you're a girl, anyway, that little person inside of you is gonna tell you to not do all, like, anything that will make you better. He is gonna be challenged by this little person in your head. You've got to overcome that, and you've got to realize that everyone wants the best for society. And if there's a few exceptions to the rule, there are people that have chosen to throw their lives away and follow Satan, um, to worship the darkness. But the majority of people want what's best for society. So each person individually needs to take accountability and responsibility for their actions, and needs to do better. And that's what I want to leave today with anyone who's watching is you got to do better, do more, keep pushing. And the only way you fail is if you give up. Also, you can fail by just choosing to do the wrong things. So make sure you're connected to something. Make sure you have a purpose and a drive, some way to keep yourself in line. But anyway, so for the bicep curls, you're probably wondering why my range of motion is so short. One thing I learned, and this is kind of the bullcrap part about bodybuilding, is that partial range of motion is the best way to attack individual muscles. So you always see people talking about full range of motion on every movement, and that's where people get confused, that thinking that bodybuilding is making you stronger. Full range of motion is what you do when you want your whole system or a whole muscle group to perform better or to get stronger or to get worked. Is like, for example, full range of motion on the squat is super important. Full range of motion on a bicep curl means that you're engaging your front delts, like the front of your shoulder, and your traps, which are behind your neck. You're lifting the weight with other muscles because you're forcing yourself to do full range of motion. If you if you have a good connection to your bicep, just take your bicep, kind of let it out, take your arm and kind of let it out a little bit and let it go limp a little bit, and while you're holding it, flex your bicep as hard as you can, and you'll notice that your arm only goes to about, your elbow will bend to about a 90-degree angle. And that, like, if you take the full range of motion of a bicep curl from the very bottom to the very top, like locked out to fully contracted, I guess. Let's say the bottom 10% is, like, I don't know, It's basically just your elbow flexing. But up until like 50% is where your bicep contracts. And once you get past that 50%, the only thing you can do is to use a mechanical leverage to finish the motion. Your bicep is already fully contracted at 90%, or not 90%, at 90 degrees when your elbow's bent 90 degrees. So that's what I learned. And I learned the best way to get a bicep pump is just to do that partial range of motion and to rep it out for 20, 30, 40, 50 reps. Basically, go until your arm starts to, like, basically go until your bicep starts burning, and then go like 10% past that. If that means doing 10 more reps, 15 more reps, whatever is your target reps, calculate 10%, and once you start feeling the burn, go like up to 10% past that, and do that over and over again for a bunch of sets. So what happens when you do hypertrophy training, especially because not all hypertrophy is bad. Like, you can literally just do a high volume and fill your muscles with blood, and that will actually bring nutrients and helpful things to your system. But what bodybuilders do is they take hypertrophy and go to the very extreme range of reps that will cause the most damage to their system. And as you can see, I just started yawning, and that's something that like always happens to me. At least as much as I understand, it happens to me when I'm doing like this hypertrophy. For whatever reason, I start yawning. But what happens is that you have energy storage. You basically have, I think it's like glycogen, glucose, and other things. I couldn't tell you everything that's there, but it's in some sort of reserve around your muscle. And what happens when you do hypertrophy is that you exhaust that reserve, and all of that is forced into your blood and is forced into your muscle because your body senses some like extreme condition of fatigue and stress. And so it's different than strength training. Basically, I felt that like when I do strength training and I'm squatting or something like that, when I push the volume, I don't feel as if I'm exhausting everything in my system. I feel as if I'm basically slightly pushing my limits as to strength, but everything in my system is functioning properly, and that allows for me to be able to come back and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. When you do extreme hypertrophy training, that's when you start to need rest days, is because your body is depleted. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to shut up, but hopefully this video was helpful to someone. So love you all. Bye.